So let's get him right on the air. And joining us right now from Canada Soccer, the head coach, Octavio Zambrano. Octavio, welcome.
Hello, Anthony. Pleasure being with you. How are
Pleasure.
you?
Pleasure to have you on. I'm very well, and I really appreciate you making time to join us tonight, Octavio. First and foremost, congratulations on a Gold Cup that I didn't expect the way that Canada would play the way they did. So for me, it was a passing grade for you and each and every player that left it all out there. So well done. Let's do a quick recap on that Gold Cup. I saw a lot of positives, some things to work on, but specifically, what did you learn from your team from this tournament?
Well, a number of things, but the most important one of them all is that I think it was clear after just playing the first match that all the things that we had worked on leading up to that first match we had the right approach. In other words, the players understood the message, and they really took what we gave them in Ottawa Saga in the mini camp that we had, and then later on where we were in every training session. They took it to heart, and they expressed it on the field. So that was a good start for us in that first match. We had a couple of mishaps, typical of a new group, or typical of a young group. But all in all, I think we did accomplish what we wanted to accomplish. And it was evident later on in the two matches against Costa Rica and Honduras that the players were ready to play. They came out to play, and so I was happy on that regard as well. I think the game against Jamaica, even though the result wasn't what we wanted, still the guys were resolute. They were confident. They played a brand of football that I like to see, and so all in all, I can draw a lot of positives. Obviously, we can be totally happy about it because I thought we could have gone further, but again, trying to draw on the positives, I think it was a good World Cup for Canada.
Coach Zambrano, what did you learn yourself and your staff in regards to tactics and what you possibly need to change looking forward to the next big games in CONCACAF region and down the road for qualifying for Qatar?
Well, we need to address some issues in this particular Gold Cup that we were very weak on was our tactical set plays against. We did not manage them well. We got punished a couple times in critical times of the game, and also in basically the same environment, which was with corner kicks and any type of dead ball situation. It was something that we tried to correct by changing the tactical alignment and going from a mixed marking to a zone marking, but still it did not really produce the effect that we wanted. So that's one aspect that we really need to bear down on when we get together again and make sure that we are on cue for that. Other than that, there is always a better work that we can do defending in certain moments of the game, because some of the goals we took were either early in the match or late in the first half or the second half. So it's kind of one of those concentration as well as kind of like tactical savvy issues that come with experience and come with a succession of games being played, and we haven't had that luxury yet. We've been at this only 4 months plus, and so we can't get it all done in one tournament or in a couple of camps. We need a little bit more time, but I see signs that the guys really understand what we want, and they are eager to express it on the field.
Coach, you talk about experience, and your young players, I believe, got the best experience possible going up against some big CONCACAF nations and getting the experience they need. I'm thinking of Alphonso Davies, of course, but I'm also thinking of Michael Petrasso, who you played in a position that he had never played before, as long as I can remember, and he adjusted well, and you trusted him. They trusted you with where you put them. How important is it now that they go back to their clubs and get the minutes they need to come back fresh and ready, focused when Canada needs them?
Yes, Michael is an interesting player because when I had him in Qatar, he was the first time I've seen him as a player, and he came in the second half as a center forward, and I asked him to do a couple of moves or movements on the attacking third that were designed to break the opponent's defense, and he did, and we ended up getting rewarded for it because we won those games. So that told me a lot about his tactical side, and when I learned that he had, in fact, in some games he had played as a right back for QPR in England. Then it was a no-brainer for me at that moment to bring him in and give him a chance to play at that position. Now, I was also pleasantly surprised, not surprised of his ability because I already had been able to see that in Qatar, but surprised that he could play that position with the smarts that he plays. He played it, and I think we addressed two issues. Number one, I think that was a position that we wanted to see a little bit more versatility out of, and he gave us that, and also obviously how young he is. You know, you can look at the future of Canada soccer and what in the right back position he could provide for us is very good. But he's not the only one, as you mentioned. You know, it's Alfonso who rightly so got all the accolades because he was his coming out party type of thing. You know, he really showed what he is and what he can become. But there is, Marc Anthony Kay, there is Sam Piet, there is quite a few players that are still young enough, not as young as Alfonso, but it bodes well for Canada's future as you see these players maturing.
Coach, for the first time in 45 years, myself following the national team and going on this roller coaster ride, I was happy to see the harmony. I was happy to see the fight in each and every player. I was happy to see that everyone wanted to play for the nation of Canada. And no longer do we have to beg players to come. And a couple players come to mind. And I'm hoping that once and for all we can put it to rest and we don't have to beg any more players. If you want to play for Canada, I welcome you. We all welcome you. And if not, no problem. I'm thinking of Brian Cristante. I believe this is a player that would be very helpful. But I'm also thinking of a new leader on this Canada team, Scott Arfield. He wanted to play for Canada. He has embraced it, and he tells everyone back in Europe that this was the best choice he made. Talk about it.
Well, talking about Scott, I think he has come into his own as a player. He's a mature player. He plays at the highest level in Europe, and he sees the kind of competition that I wish a lot of our guys would see in a week-to-week basis. But as you mentioned, the important aspect of it is not only the fact that he can play, but that he really truly feels that he wants to be part of this process, and I think this Gold Cup showed his resolution, his commitment, his aggressiveness to be a leader on the field just by playing. Not we had Patrice Venier, we have other guys that have been around longer than he has, and older players. But you can be a leader just by showing the way it's done, and he did. He played all the minutes that he played because he was on cue every single time. He really showed his worth. Talking about Brian Cristante, he is a very good player, and I have spoken with him. I have met with him in Milan, in Bergamo, and we have had lengthy conversations about the possibility of him coming to Canada and play for the national team. And those are conversations that are continuing. They are not stalling or anything like that. We are in contact, and we feel that when the moment is right, I think this is also a process. It's not a process of convincing the player or begging the player. It's more so a process of what a professional player wants to do, whether he wants to make a big move, so to speak. Part of that equation hopefully means that he comes to the United States, either to the MLS, to the CPL, but he comes to Canada, plays for one of the Canadian teams, etc. All of that is part of the conversations that we're having with him. But he's also a player that, needless to say, it could help us tremendously.
Coach, we have only 2 minutes left before we take a commercial break. 2 quick questions I'd like to get your thoughts on. Tonight, MLS AllStars take on Real Madrid, a superpower, and not one single Canadian is on the MLS AllStars. To me, that is unacceptable. And to me, this is where I believe the Canadian Premier League will fill a huge void for many players across this country. How important is it, after witnessing your nation playing this Gold Cup, for players like a Mark Anthony Kaye and so many others to come here to play in this country so you can monitor them?
The CPL is a key component of the restructuring of Canadian soccer. I have made that point with the upper echelon of the CSA, and I've made I've had several conversations with them about it. We need to make sure that this is done right, and that we get quality players, and we give the Canadian players, not only here in Canada but abroad also, a place where they can showcase their talent. But it's a formula that is one that we cannot miss. We have to do it right. We have to make it happen in the proper environment for these players to excel. And obviously, I am part of those conversations, and we're going to have some more meaningful ones as the year as we come to closer and closer to the starting of the CPL.
Last question very quickly, Coach. It's been over a couple months since, more than a couple months, that both the under-17 and under-20 teams both failed their mission, both did not do very well, and we are awaiting your assessment to see if both coaches will be returning to the under-17 and under-20. Have you made decisions yet?
Yes, we have obviously had the time now. It's been almost 5 months on the job, and enough time to assess everything. We have given ourselves a 6-month period to really come to terms with everything, not only on the field, but on the administrative side and everything that surrounds the national teams, and what the processes are that affect the performance of the players, etc., and including coaches, and everybody around the national teams. And obviously, we can expect to do the same, and the results to change. We have to evolve. We have to make changes. We have to progress. We have to go forward, and you have to embrace that change. And changes will be made, but we need to have also the proper environment in place once those changes are made. We can make wholesale changes and just to make them out of, just a kind of a knee-jerk reaction to something. You have to really plan things, and we have. And we are giving our presentation to the CSA come September, when that 6-month period will have elapsed, and then we will make our case to change some key components of Canada soccer, and what you mentioned are one of them.
Octavio, thank you so much for making time. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on a very, very strong showing at the Gold Cup. And again, on a personal note, Octavio, in the few months you've been in charge here in Canada Soccer, you've embraced this country, you've embraced the challenge, you've been open to each and every one, players, provinces, ex-players, and all sorts across this country. We thank you. Continue on the path and the journey that we would all love to see one day you end up in Qatar. Thanks so much again for your time. We really appreciate it, Octavio.
Thank you very much. I am nothing but grateful, and it's always an honor to be part of this great process and in this great country of Canada.